Okay, welcome to part 2. In this part, we'll start filling out the Department of Justice's PDF application document, and you should have that right in front of you. If you split your screen, you'll see it. This is what I've got here, and you can fill it out as we go along. If you follow the cursor, you'll see at the top of the page it has 24 pages here, and these are the page numbers. When I say a page number, this is where I'm going to say you should look. There are pages on the document itself, but they aren't in sequence. Well, they are in sequence, but they don't follow the flow. So scroll down to page 2. It's the table of contents, and you can glance at this if you want. Almost everything that's highlighted in red is some sort of form that we'll be completing. You can see there's a lot of them. But we're not going to be spending time reading the rules and regulations on the video. Once all the blanks are filled in, you'll print it out and then study it. And study it you should, as it gives a lot of information which you'll need to follow closely so you don't break the law. Alright, scroll past page 3 to page 4, and you'll see there where I'm highlighting that you have to be at least 18 years old to be a custodian of records. Assuming this is the case, scroll through to page 6. 4, 5, 6, right, coming up here. And as you can see, I've entered information for a sample organization into the blanks on the screen. The Department of Justice designed the form so that whenever the same information is requested, it'll populate the same blanks later. Now that's not the case in every blank, but a lot of this information you'll see it'll ask for again. If you put it here, it will come in down below. Now, right here, mailing address. If you put a PO box here, you've got to also have a physical address. They won't only take a PO box. So the many organizations have only PO boxes to receive mail. The physical address should be either the president or the custodian of records. So now I'm going to enter the phone book or the phone number, and I want you to see how that's done. I'm tabbing to get into it. I'm entering the 11 series of 11 digits. So there's the phone number, and it puts those digits into the proper format if you tab. You can see what that's done there. So once you've entered the digits like that, just hit the tab key and it will format it for you. If you try to format it yourself, it will reject it. Also, the tab will put you over to the facsimile. If you have a fax number, go ahead and put that in. Now we're going to click the blank that says you're a nonprofit. I've already done that, but you can see this is the blank here. Got to click that. If you click no, this application will be rejected. So the next section right here that I'm highlighting goes over the proof you must provide to show that your organization is a nonprofit. You need to get these documents together prior to sending the application in. Alright, scroll down to the next big blank, which is right here. You'll need to enter something like the sample statements I've already put in. Basically, it's saying these describe what you do and why you need to be able to do the background checks. So you can copy what I've entered, alter it to what you need. You won't do all A, B, and C. You copy what specific one you need. Hopefully that's understood. You don't just stick everything in there because that may or may not be right for you. So take what you need and leave out what you don't need. Alright, now scroll down to page 7. Or let's see. This is page 7. This is one of the speed bump pages. But before we get into the options and interpretations on how to do this page, there's some clarifications. We're going to have a 15-second commercial from our sponsor. So this is about of course, the Ultimate Fingerprint Guide. And it was published because, there are just no written guidelines that describe what a custodian of records is supposed to do. The manual makes it simple, and it has informative screenshots of the DOJ website. It has examples of criminal records and how to interpret them. It answers questions you didn't even know to ask. And it's only $19.99. So you can purchase it by opening a new tab in your browser and going to www.fingerprinthelp.org. Okay, that was it. We'll get back to business here. Still back on page 7. Page 7, this has basically additional questions designed to really make sure your organization is eligible and that this is the correct application to use. So I can't really tell you how to answer these questions because they have to do with your organization individually, but there are some that I'll help interpret and clarify. So questions, you can answer these up here. This is easy for you. Questions 1 and 2, if you read them, you should be able to get through them pretty easily. Those are pretty self-explanatory. Now question 3, it's asking if your organization screens the individuals first, or does background checks on them first, and then sends them out on assignment somewhere else. So if you do this, check the appropriate box and add an explanation. Question 4 is related to number 3 and wants to know if your organization pays the employees, and it's easy to answer if you have employees. But what happens if your organization only deals with volunteers? Well, if you only have volunteers, you obviously don't pay them, so you'd answer no, employees, in the blank, only volunteers. But if you have employees and they're paid by someone else, that needs to be explained also. If you mark yes, you're saying that your organization has employees and pays them. No further explanation is needed. All right, so question 5, pretty straightforward. Just read it and answer it. Question 6 wants to know if you are even remotely related to a school. Again, if you are, this is not the correct application. All right, so scroll to page 8 after you fill in these blanks in down at the bottom of page 7. Get on page 8, and you'll see some of that information has already been filled in for you, like we talked about. The question that we're going to take up here is this one here, projection for monthly applicant submissions. It asks how many submissions will you have in a month, or how many people are you going to get fingerprinted in a month. So they ask this because depending on what you answer, they have to set up a mailbox that will accommodate that number of submissions that you have. So with that in mind, put in the estimate of the most you may have in any particular month, even if later months you do very little or none at all. All right, so next you need to check the boxes that relate to the individuals in your organization that are going to be fingerprinted, and those are pretty self-explanatory there also. If you represent a church, you should check both the employment and volunteer boxes. In the employment box, follow their tiny print instructions under the blank, or use their suggestion. If you represent a sports organization, most likely you'll just be checking the volunteers box over here, unless there's some paid staff, in which case you should also check the employment box. All right, the next section on section 8 has to do with the fingerprint results and some options on how you would like to receive them. The Department of Justice sends the results to a secure mailbox, which you have to retrieve. The choices are simple. Do you want all responses sent to the same mailbox, or do you want to have different mailboxes for the different types of individuals being fingerprinted? Most people do one mailbox. It keeps it simple. But if you want to separate out employees from volunteers, go right ahead and do what you need to there. Now right below this, you see this term ORI. This means Originating Agency Identifier. This is the code which, when assigned, identifies your organization with the DOJ. It's basically your account number with the DOJ, and it's an identifier for them. All right, so now scroll past page 9 to page 10. There's page 9, looking at the top of the screen, to page 10. And this is the end of this part 2. We'll take up page 10 in part 3. Looking to see you soon.